All right, we are Tungsten Nebula, and this is our Sprint 2 MileStone presentation. Our game is called PhotoShooTout. It's a fast-paced local multiplayer arcade action game about taking amazing wildlife photos. I'm Aaron Solon. I'm a co-producer, designer, and programmer.
I'm Antonio Vasquez. I am a level and narrative designer.
Hi, I'm Lia Fry. I'm a 3D animator and artist.
Hi, I'm Xiao Ma. I'm a 3D artist.
I'm Jonathon. I'm a programmer.
Hello, I'm Bendtsen. I'm a UI and UX programmer.
Hi, I'm Sadeem Boji. I'm a co-producer and programmer.
Emma Christensen is our 2D artist and concept artist. She's recording separately from us today. And we're also working with Gaby, Bendtsen, and Dominic Vasquez to help us on the sound end. All right, this is our Unity demo. So to record this, we actually set up a 4-player game online via Parsec, which worked surprisingly well. So that could be useful for folks who want to play test it online. But here you can see we're jumping into the game with 4 players. Everyone's got their own character, and basically we just jump right into the action. As you know, the goal of the game is to get as many good photos as you can. So, those are graded on things based on what animals are in the picture. Are they like a good distance away from the camera? Are they centered? Are they facing the camera? What behavior are they doing? Are there players, photobombing you? So while you're playing, you're sort of trying to position yourself and set up to get those good photos. So, a lot of the main gameplay is just trying to move around the map and get in the right spot where you can get a photo of a moose facing you doing something cool. So, here you can see as well the photo relay mechanic. So that little satellite thing that the players keep returning to is how you get more frames loaded into your camera. If you look at the UI above each character, it says how many they've got currently. So, with the balance we have set up right now, every time you leave the relay, you get 2 more frames. So, that sort of creates a little bit of tension between moving far away from the relay to possibly get better photo opportunities versus just taking a lot of photos and staying closer to the relay so you can reload more often. One thing you also might notice is the geysers we've got that allow you to jump over the river in the middle. If you fall in the river, you actually end up dying and have to respawn before you can take more photos. But that just showed a quick run of the game. Afterwards it shows each player's best photo and their final score. So in this game, Lia ended up winning with 130. And yeah, that's sort of where the build is at right now. We're really excited for everyone to get to try it on Tuesday.
So our goals for Sprint 2 were to design and implement our scoring system with the camera, getting a first playable as early as possible so we can constantly iterate on it, and solidify our art style and workflow for the moose and other animals going forward.
All right, so as for design updates on the system design progress end, we continue to discuss and expand all the game systems in the game. So this is things like our animals. So that means expanding the behavior of the moose and defining how those different actions work, as well as starting to concept the wolf, which is going to be our next animal. We also worked on both the game camera and the in-game camera. We've got our relays working, which are an object in the game that allows you to score and sort of reload your camera. And we also have aim mode implemented on the character. Scoring in particular was important to us this sprint because we got a lot of feedback that the scoring system wasn't clear at the end of last sprint. So we really defined that further and planned out and implemented it. We're also making sure we stay prepared to adjust really anything in response to playtesting in the coming weeks.
As far as level design progress this sprint, we managed to get the first iteration of the first playable level locked down as far as concept and first implementation. We made the level as such that we could modify it easily after each playtest, some of the things being the position of spawners, the breaking up of the level to add more variety to it, river crossing points via geysers, and background objects that incorporate in the photos. In addition to just the general layout and makeup of the level, we also implemented new environmental assets such as new trees and grasses, as well as the photo relays in order to flesh out the level and make it a true playable space.
Okay, let's go for the art part. In the sprint 2, with the help of Edge staff, we found a great wheel as our final direction that is N64. That is Marvel's case, each body part is separate, so it will be convenient to read an animation, and it avoids some problem of the low poly models that really mesh when the animation. For the model buildings, we focus on the simple detail part like homes and horns, and highlight some feature of the modes that strong legs, so more wet feeling. We totally reduce the most model in sprint, so this that can help our game unique, and it's also our main test for this sprint too. And the last time we go for some to build some early environment assert like grass and trees is also our next target for sprint 3.
And as for the animation side of things, I've been updating the rig so it fits that N64 style feel. So all the different body parts move independently of each other. I also created some poses for the first playable and made sure that they were working in Unity so that the players have a more indication as to whether the moose is in a certain state, which such as like idle, drinking, walking, and fighting. And then going forward, I'm going to start researching a little bit more about moose and making sure that I can get some better and full animations for the upcoming playables.
This sprint, the art team worked on finalizing a low poly art style to work towards. We are using the current animal concepts and the moose model as references to match all of the other art too. The moose model was retextured with a light to dark gradient on the body, and the antlers were colored a bright orange to stand out against the background. We also spent time figuring out what the UI will look like. We're going for a low poly nature look that will match the rest of the game, and we want to also use the idea of the trailhead markers to indicate what the animals are doing.
Now on to code.
One of the biggest aspects of the sprint has been getting the entire game loop to operate. Aaron's going to speak on the input system a little bit more, but in terms of UI and UX, we have some basic UI scripting and menu prototypes in. So right now we have a basic menu that lets you get into the player selection menu and then enter a game. Once you enter the game, the timer, you can play through the game, timer will tick down at 0, your results screen will come up with all your scoring and who won, and you can return to the main menu. Along with that, we've added a number of other prototype items like photo relays for allowing players to get more photos that they can take, and then added in the first person camera aiming so that you can see what you're actually taking a picture of while you're moving around the level.
In this sprint, we also got our camera fully working, and right now it keeps track of how center the animal is, the direction it is facing, and how many animals are in the photo, as well as other factors, and we're hoping to constantly iterate on this camera.
On the AI side of things, we were able to set up a structure for AI feedback-based interactions this sprint, so things such as sight and sound. So the mooses can now hear players roll and see players and other moose. Along with that, we set up early animation control structure so we can easily slot in animations later, and it will be smooth. And we've also set up AI to interact with the scoring system and support that.
Touching on a few other smaller issues, we've definitely have been struggling with input in the current build, and that's basically the only thing stopping there from being a full game loop, like Ben mentioned, because once you return to the main menu, you can't join again with the same controller, and we've just really been struggling getting that to work. So we're probably going to switch to a different input solution, namely Rewired, because we've heard good things about that. On the brighter side, we've continued to tweak the player controller. So now it's got a aim mode, and that's working great. And we've also iterated on the game camera, so it properly keeps all the players on screen, even when they move far apart from one another.
Now let's talk about sound. With the addition of Dominic and Gaby, we have implemented Wise into our project, and we received our main menu song from Dominic and hope to have more soon.
Yeah, going forward, we have a few goals we have for Sprint 3. First and foremost, we want to iterate everything based on feedback we gather during the play testing. We already have some ideas from this based on our own internal play testing, including that we want to make it more clear when you take a photo, make it more clear how good your photo is when you take it. We also want to change the picture-in-picture UI so that the first-person view isn't taking up real estate on the screen when the player doesn't need it. And we also want to apply a penalty for repeatedly photographing the same animal, so that we're not incentivizing players to basically like camp on one moose the whole game. We also need to redo our input system, which will allow us to finish our complete game loop in a more smooth way. We want to finalize the character design and the UI visual design so that we can get those assets into the project in a more finalized version. We also want to complete the moose, both in terms of gameplay and visuals, as well as begin prototyping the wolf. And finally, we want to implement music and sound effects into our actual build.
Thank you.